All right, it says it live. And yep, there's the counter. Welcome and good evening to another night of A Girl, a Guy, and a Movie. Tonight, the 27th of June, 2022. Stardate 2022. Janet from another planet joins me for this special episode of one of my favorite movies that I've ever seen. And I believe, after talking with her, any given Sunday, any given day, ending in Y, if somebody says, hey, we're going to watch Galaxy Quest, then make another spot available because we're coming with you. Spoiler alert, I like the movie. Janet, what did you think about it?
I thought it was excelente. I movie. I laughed and laughed and laughed, and I even cried again, even though it's been a real long time since I watched it. But I'm so glad I picked it because it really I needed it. I needed a good laugh, and it was awesome. I forgot how good it was. I can't believe all of them aren't still, you know, making comedy because man, they were good at it. At least that group of people.
This is in my opinion, hey, Man of War 665 and Random Brad Creator. This is, in my opinion, probably the closest I'll come in my adult life to being able to attend a Star Wars on its first entrance through the theater, because I've seen all the Star Trek movies in the theater, and while they were all really good, the ones before 2009, and I still like the new Star Trek movies, the three that JJ did. I still like those. They're not the same caliber as the ones that we saw when we were in the 80s. They're not going to be the ones by Nicholas Meyer.
Hmm.
It's not going to be even Star Trek 6, which is a lot of people pan that one. I didn't like Generations, but this movie gets directly compared to Star Trek so much. Even J.J. Abrams, the thief, says this movie is the best Trek film of all time. And I have to agree. It really is. This movie does for me what very few movies does.
You could tell they took uh, a lot of extra time for the small details in
Mhm.
the in almost every scene. That was one thing to me that definitely drew me in even more the second or third time I got to watch it because I started seeing all these little things that I didn't see the very first time I watched it because I was so busy laughing. But I don't know. I just really I can't even count all the things that I just loved about it. But it brought me back to when I would sit and watch reruns with my dad of Star Trek, and how much I just got taken away from this planet, into another world basically, and plus it adds a dash of what it's like to be a person like me that loves Comic Cons and the thrill of getting to meet your sci-fi hero in person and getting to get your picture taken with them and buy some stuff or pictures or whatever autographed by them. All of that, I just absolutely loved it because it just was so entertaining to me. I loved it.
We went to go see this movie in the theaters in 1999. I was with other geeks, and they were like, "We get to see it a second time with you." Okay. So as we're watching the movie, my sides are starting to hurt. Like I really don't have this happen that often, but I'm watching the movie And the more I'm getting into it, the more I'm just telling myself I'm going to see this movie with my dad. We're going to have a day at the theaters with this movie. And then I told my dad that night when we got back from Peoria, I said, no, we went out and saw Galaxy Quest. He's like, oh, well, Mom and I saw that today. And I'm like, ah. And he's like, what did you think of it? And I said, I wanted to see it with you. He's like, well, we'll see it together. I'm like, okay. And sure enough, when it came on VHS, because that was the era that this movie came out in, Dad and I watched it together probably 3 or 4 times. And then I found a DVD of it. And that's probably within that same year of 1999. We really like this movie. This is probably, for science fiction movies, this is in my top 10 or top 15. It does more good than what I ever thought it would. It's a movie you can watch when you're at a low point, and it'll pick you up. It'll pick you right up, even though you'll be thinking of things like, why couldn't Alan Rickman not have gotten cancer? You know, because that hits me every time I see this movie now.
It didn't me. I didn't think of any sad things coming from any of the characters or from the actors from the movie. All I thought about was the joy that it seemed they had performing in this movie. From the moment Rickman's acting, you can see he just hates what he does. He absolutely hates his job. He hates being there. He doesn't want to be there. He's made up in his putting his makeup on and just
I
slap.
spent an hour in makeup for this.
It was just funny. It almost made me feel like I was sitting next to him while he was putting on his makeup and getting to um, uh, pity him, you know, kind of like what Sigourney Weaver's character did for him, you know, because she really felt sympathy for him because she knew that he's just famous, you know, once a dramatic actor in lots of other characters that were very dramatic, and here he is playing this weird alien that and now he's been down to this doing little you know, signing autographs and stuff and doing little store openings and trivial things, commercials or whatever you want to call it. For an actor, that's like a real step down. Usually when you see a famous football player or a boxer or whatever, you know, hawking, you know, at a car dealership or selling pancake making machines or or a juicer, you know that they really fell pretty low. So the whole way that he did and portrayed how miserable he was because he feels like he might as well be dead, basically, because his life as an actor is over. And it was so believable because he was so good at, even with that goofy head covering and stuff on, he was believable to believe that he's really that person.
Yeah.
And, that's why I'm saying I didn't feel sorry for him. It didn't make me sad to see him, even though I knew he died, because I loved him in Harry Potter's movies. I just absolutely loved his character, and you know, that makes me sad to think about him never being able to portray another one of these lovable characters that I just adore. But in this movie, he took me away from that. He brought me into the movie, and I felt for him. And then as he built the relationship up with the alien, the one that looked up at him as a father or whatever type thing, even though he was an octopus looking creature, it really made me believe it. I mean, I felt in my chest, the sadness when he got shot, and then Alan, or what was his name in the movie again?
Alexander Dane.
Okay, yeah, when he realized that he was dying, and he just, his anger overwhelms him, and he runs at the creature to fight him with nothing. He has no gun, or no laser, nothing on him, but his feelings are welling up inside of him over the few days of torture that he'd been through to get where he was at. And he releases it on this guy. So I mean, on that alien, and it was just so believable to me. It really made me feel. I was proud of him. I felt like he'd come full circle in his life. He was a famous actor, and then he fell to the bottom of the barrel, basically, not from drinking, but just because you burned out as an actor. There's no jobs left. You got older. All those different things that happen to actors, and then he got to fulfill something with the character that he portrayed, that he felt there was nothing anymore. It meant so much to someone, a fan that didn't know he wasn't real, that accepted him as a real person. And he you could tell the passion he had for this person, because he built that relationship up with him. And he was willing to die, basically, because he didn't know if he was going to die or not when he attacked that creature. And that, I don't know, I just really enjoyed that part of it, because it really made me feel a part of him. I could feel his feelings. That's how good an actor he was. Even in a comedy, he pulled me in. He's such a good actor. Yeah, he's definitely going to be missed in the acting world. Whenever good movies start coming back, he's going to be missed as someone that could have been in a good movie, another good movie, or a great movie.
Well, there was talk. I'm going to talk about this comment right here that Man of Warp gave us. Galaxy Quest is much more Trek than a lot of them in recent memory. And on the director's commentary for Star Trek 2009, J.J. Abrams admits that the best Trek movie ever is Galaxy Quest, because it gives you everything you could ever want in Trek. Plus, it allows you to bring your wife or girlfriend if they're not into it. And that was the big challenge that they had at the start of 2009 Trek. How are we going to get guys to bring their wives and girlfriends here? Because we want this to be a big, big movie. And so they have to start the movie with the birthing of James T. Kirk. I'm going to also say in the chat, I really want to appreciate people showing up for this tonight. The Multi-Gunman, yes, how's it going? It is fantastic. I'm with one of the greatest co-hosts, or soon to be hosting her own show on her own channel here very shortly. Janet from Another Planet. Go ahead, Janet.
I just said maybe. I'm trying to build language. But you've helped me by letting me do this with you. It's really helped me and gave me a little bit of confidence about not messing it up so bad that I would never want anyone to hear my voice again.
You're quite good at this.
Well, I love this movie. This is an awesome movie, and I recommend everyone to see it, because I'm not that much into comics, comedy movies. But I think the reason I did go see this movie in the first place with my dad was because of the sci-fi part of it, knowing that it was going to be like with the Comic-Con, and they're burned out actors or whatever, but they played in a sci-fi show or whatever.
And that's like really the way the movie launches. The movie starts off in the middle of a convention. And so you see that the director and set director really did some good homework, and they went to Trek cons, they went to Comic Cons, they went and saw all the model kits, all the merch, all the people that dress up.
And wait for hours and hours and hours to see stars. And that's the whole, like the one scene in it where Sigourney Weaver and Tim Allen are having to go through the different things to shut down the
Jumpers.
yeah, they had to go through the choppers and the smashers or whatever. And her comment about it, she goes, how she's like doing the overboard blonde bimbo.
Yeah. And you can tell at one point they audio cut her audio feed out, and she's like, "Screw that!" And but her mouth says something different.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
because they took the dirty words out of the movie.
yeah, they did, and I
And
I
obviously
really wish they
had-
didn't. I don't want to see James T. Kirk cuss, but part of me is like, he's a human being. He wipes his ass. He has to plunge a toilet from time to time because he's on pills. He's gotta he's gotta decide: am I gonna have manwich tonight or vanilla and a sausage? I'm not an actor anymore. I'm retired. And he has to do that.
but
Also,
one of
uh,
the that I was really impressed by, to me, that went a step up from what you would normally think you would see in a movie portraying old actors being called to really serve on a real starship or whatever to fight real aliens, was the fact that when I saw the commercial and stuff for their trailer or whatever, I was thinking, oh, it's got this or that in it. But I wasn't expecting the alien creature to look so awesome. I
the
mean,
tentacle beasts, the
yeah,
thermites.
what was it? No, Saris, I think.
Oh, Steris?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the guy that had like the that one what a lionfish thing on his back.
yeah.
When he got angry and the spikes came up. And I think I read a few things that said it took like 4 people to run different aspects of his costume and stuff to make
Yeah,
it
they
work.
needed Henson, I believe.
And
I thought they used Henson's workshop there.
yeah, I think it was. It might have been that same company, but it was just so freaking awesome to see it. Uh, his eyes, the sliminess of it, I don't know, just the overall everything about him. Because when you see the octopus people, they just don't look as dramatic.
No.
And the rest of the other crew on his ship that have the hats with the ropes and stuff hanging on them and stuff, they were ominous and stuff, but they weren't as dramatic and eye catching and believable as a really scary, ominous creature from another planet coming to, kill everyone on your planet. It was just very believable to me. And when they take the ship and they're leaving and you see their devastated planet behind, and then I'm feeling really sorry for the aliens that came to get him to help them fight this guy, thinking he's a real starship captain or whatever. And I felt bad for them because when they're leaving, you're realizing to them it's real because their planet's almost completely destroyed, and they're going there thinking, oh, it's all for fun. And you can't, you want to laugh, but you don't want to laugh because you feel bad for them. But the scene where is his name? What's his name? The guy that played the darn it, I'm so terrible with names. The guy that works down in the engine room.
Oh,
Shalhoub is his last name, I think.
yeah, Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah, Shalhoub. Okay, when his character was so opposite of everyone else's character, which I loved the whole aspect of that. So, because he's just sitting there, like when they all go through the dramatic thing of being transformed and with the goo, like
They get shot in the face with goo on them.
and they're all screaming and they're about to pass out, and then you have Guy. He's like really freaking out and he starts screaming and everything, and then you have the shoe show up and he just all calm. He's like, what's going on with them? Like it was a big deal. And he fit right in. It was just hilarious. And then when he meets the girl, and you could tell that he seemed to be attracted to her, But when they're making out in that one scene and Guy standing there watching him and he's like, oh, that just isn't right. It's like about it with all the tentacles coming out and they're grabbing the guy and stuff. And they didn't even have to even be overly gross or anything, showing where the tentacles were going or anything like that. But the look on his face when she backs up
Perfect.
kissing, it's just adorable. I mean, it was just so romantic and funny at the same time. It made me wish I was the octopus girl. I just thought it was
You wanted to be Missy Pyle for a second, didn't you?
yeah, it was just so it was so romantic and everything. I just thought it was adorable. I got drawn into that part, but Guy's reaction to them two making out was worth $1 million. I couldn't stop laughing. It was so funny. So how do you have romance and comedy mixed all together and entwined? Is that one scene for sure? Because it had
I had it
a
all.
woman that could watch that and not think that was romantic. Uh, I don't know. Something's wrong with them, or something's wrong with me really bad. But I just thought that was the funniest thing.
Well, this movie was the barometer that I used for decades since it came out. And if I had a girlfriend that she didn't like Galaxy Quest, she didn't advance. This movie was so good. I know I'm going to watch it again. And I would like to watch it with a person who likes this movie. I want to see it with somebody who appreciates it. And if she doesn't like Galaxy Quest, go get your gear. You're out of here.
Well, I was lucky. I got to watch it with my dad, and it's a memory I'm never going to forget because my dad was the one that got me to read my first comic book. He's the one that bought me my very first figure to play with. And it was, I hate to say it, but it was Batman. It wasn't a Marvel character, but
Fine.
it was something I'll never forget. And me getting to share laughing and crying with my dad was worth more than any money that could get me anything.
Now I need to address the chat here real quick because we've had people come in. LDG, I know you've been there for a bit on screen. How you doing, sir? Good to see you in. Janet, if
Yes.
I can at some point have you and LDG have a connect on Discord or Gilded, he is a really good guru for tech help. And this is a guy that I don't know if you listen to Culture Casino much. Culture Casino goes to LDG a lot.
Okay, well, that sounds great to me. I can always beg for help. I have no begging.
Man of War 665, Neighbor of the Beast. Neighbor of the Beast! Just saw Fathom Events 40th Anniversary Star Trek The Motion Picture from 1979. I will see the Wrath of Khan 40th on Labor Day weekend. I'm the original series through and through. Any Trek of the last 13 years leaves me completely flat / pissed.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I love Star Trek. My very first taste of Star Trek with my dad, and I've always loved it. I always wish that I would be alive when we were able to actually have people get beamed aboard a ship and have one of the machines make me a meal that tastes just like my mom's chicken and dumplings while I'm flying around outer space. Stuff like that because it was awesome.
Parrot Head says, "Hey weirdos." that's a pretty good description for us tonight. Because
hey, I wore that badge of honor. Honestly, I'd rather be weirder than some of the people that I don't know what you'd call them on Twitter. I'm a step ahead.
I wanted to be Tony Shalhoub when I realized his girlfriend had tentacles. I don't know if that makes me Oriental or Japanese or anything, but I like, how does he get a tentacle girlfriend? Damn it.
Yeah, the Thermites or Thermans or something.
The Thermians. And on the DVD, the original cut of the DVD, they have an option where you can listen to the entire movie in Thermion. Don't select that because of about 30 seconds into it, you're going to realize that you don't want that squealing breaking your speakers. It's like little squeals and
God,
pops.
just a little bit they had in the back seat of the limo when she's talking to him. And she's saying her modulator was broken, and he had a look on his face when he's looking at her when she's going talking to her. Sorry, I told you this movie was so funny. Just little things like that. That's what I'm talking about. That made this movie so much better than any other, um, you know, space movie or comedy or whatever. It's just the best of the best. I just thought it was excellent. It was an excellent movie, and it made so many just little things like that in the backseat of the limo is what made this movie so good. And Tim Allen, I'm telling you, he's a genius when it comes to comedy. I bet he gets to ad-lib a lot. I'd have to watch that documentary and find out, but I'm pretty sure he did. And he's good at it. Very talented. But the combination of everybody they chose for the different characters in this was genius. I mean, I can't even imagine any person playing any other character besides the people they chose. Even the young boy that played the one that got everybody together when he accidentally picked up his communicator at the Comic-Con when they bumped into each other. And the look on all their faces when he's like, I got this. And he's holding it and showing it to them, and they all pull theirs off and go, yeah. So this is the little aspects they added to those different elements using the props and the characters and the intertanglement between the characters. Like when Rickman is signing the autographed pages, writing on it, and he's just sliding them over. Everybody knows that go to hell look. It was just, he was just perfect for that part. I mean, he was so good and believable. You couldn't help but laugh because he's funny. He was so funny.
Hey, Bone, how you doing, sir? Yeah. I know this movie doesn't really start until Tim Allen is drunk on the floor of his apartment. That movie, that's where the movie really starts. But it's such a good movie up to that point because they show you that there's a history to this film. There's a history to these characters, and like the little boy was the pilot, which made me laugh because that sounds like something exactly we would do in the 70s. Oh, let him drive. What?
Oh, because they had that,
Yeah.
They had that in the what was it, the Next Generation, when you had the boy join the ship.
Yeah, shut up, Wesley.
But he wasn't a pilot or anything, and the aspect when now an adult, and then they say, okay, take her out, and he's like, what do you mean? And he's like, I made this by watching you pilot the ship, so your hand movements will make it go. And you can see the tension on his face, and he starts to go, and everybody's watching in the aliens are watching in excitement, but you can see all the characters from the show, the TV show, looking at each other, knowing that this guy has never flown a starship in his life. And then all of a sudden it starts to sway over to the left, and everybody starts leaning left. I just thought those little elements like that is what it just made it. Just
the two scenes. The two scenes where the Protector just looks amazing are when it's coming out of space dock and it's got the little shavings of paint and holes coming out with it.
Little flag flying off into space. And it's got a huge scratch on it. Just
and
funny when you get your new car and you're backing it out in your garage, you get a big old nail or something that just scratches a lot, and you can hear it go, scratch. I couldn't stop laughing. I was laughing so hard because just little details like that is what made this movie, 5 steps higher than the rest of them, because it just it kind of breaks your heart now that I'm thinking back, is that if they had just taken a little more time to add details and things like that in some of these movies they've made in the last 5 years or so, how much better they would have been just from making that one change. It's sad. It makes me sad. This makes me want to watch old movies over and over again, because they used to know how to make movies and
that,
make people happy.
that's kind of why you and I are doing this.
I know, but it's sad.
We could go and watch new movies every week and burn $30, or we can find older movies that are readily available and they're more entertaining. You get more value, more bang out of their buck for them. And this film, I mean, I haven't even wanted to move out of Act One yet. I'm still going over the fact that, like, there's a scene in the start of it where they're at the convention, and Tim Allen, Jason Nesmith, is taking a urinary break, and some kids come in talking trash about him.
Oh,
and
yeah.
calling everybody at the convention a loser. And that happened to Shatner.
Oh, yeah. I heard that.
It happened to him at a 1986 convention. And that was the same year that Shatner went on Saturday Night Live after that convention, because he wanted to just kind of show that, like, hey, I'm still an actor. I can still do stuff. And he even played on that by going on a convention skit on SNL and looking directly at John Lovitz when John Lovitz is asking him about Star Trek stuff, and Shatner fires back, "Have you ever kissed a girl?" And like all the guys at the convention start looking down because, no, we haven't, but we know how many horses you have. You've got 39 horses, but including the foal that was born on Tuesday. And Shatner's like, you've taken something that I did as a lark, and you've turned it into more than a hobby. It's now a miserable lifestyle. Look at you, all of you. You're sad. And when I watch that, like, I can see that, yes, there is a message like, hey, don't spend your entire like life savings and inheritance on fandom and such. I get that. I caught the message. Thank you. I only spent like 29,000 on the miniatures. But there's also the comedy, and there's the real message there, and they were able to interpret that into a scene on this movie and show you that it hurt Tim Allen's character to hear that. And then he goes back out to the convention. He's just signing. Yeah, go ahead, take it. And he's just doing that.
He's bitter,
horribly bitter.
He is very bitter that he realized that he's just nobody. He's just a washed up actor. But see, is it Rickman? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
He realized that. Okay, he was a famous Shakespearean actor. He's been in stuff that you would win an Academy Award for. Those type of movies. And now he's marked for the rest of his life because he was in a TV series, which is like supposedly a step down from movies. See, you're no longer a movie star, you're now a soap opera star. So that's a huge step to come down from. But Tim Allen's character really wasn't a movie star. He was a soap opera star, because basically, TV series are nothing but soap operas. They're a continuation, but they're on at night instead of during the day for the wives to watch or whatever, the homekeepers or whatever, housekeepers. So he was just a TV star, but he was famous because of the following he had, and a lot of people don't realize that. Um, a lot of these shows, like Star Trek and Deep Space Nine and Babylon 5 and I can't remember, Stargate. All these movies were famous, or TV shows and movies were famous because of us, because of us nerds, ones that would be willing to come home early on Friday night or a Saturday night date just to watch their show, which I did many a times. But because I love that stuff and I wanted to see it as it happened and unfolded. I didn't want to hear about something from a friend before I got a chance to see it. You know, I'd be ticked off if someone said, "Oh, so and so dies." Like, damn it, you're pissed off because now you don't want to watch it. You want to watch it, but you don't because you already know your best person dies or whatever. So I can understand it, but we're the reason why they became famous. But the fact that he goes full circle and realizes that he's not what he thought he was. So they drop him down a few notches, and then he meets those aliens. Okay, but he thinks they're just people there at first for the Comic-Con thing that's going on, or Sci-Fi Con, or whatever you want to call it. And then he thinks they're there for a job that they want him to do, for an acting job. And he's thinking, well, this is pretty cool. When he walks in, he goes, normally it's just a cardboard cutouts in someone's garage. So it's like he's in there, he's just happy he's got a gig. He's going to make some money. But then when he realizes that, that it was a real alien and that he was like, oh, just throw this at him and throw that and shoot these cannons and cross over and do he's just doing all the lame motions that he did on his show. And then he leaves, not realizing that what he just did started a war, a real war. And when he finds out and he goes back to tell the other people at the other commercial they're doing for that car dealership, you could see the excitement in him because he actually has something to live for now. He's realizing that his life isn't over. Now he can really be who he was pretending to be all those years. And it's like a second chance at fandom or whatever. So it was just nice. It was just nice to see his arc, go complete circle or back around, and seeing the other characters grow, even the aliens get to grow from their experiences and realizing that they can do things for themselves now, that they don't have to be relying on someone else, because they realize that they were strong and that they would be able to survive on
I
their
think
own.
that's my favorite takeaway of this movie. Is
What?
how is God, I hate talking about this right now, but by the very end of the film, Nesmith has given them the courage to go ahead and separate and use that ship for good.
Mm-hmm.
And he trusts them to do the right thing. He thinks that their captain is an amazing guy, and he's going to be just fine holding it down for them, and they'll thrive again.
Yeah, because now they have a ship and they can find another planet and start repopulating and bring up their species again, because most of them were decimated and all that was left was what was on the ship, and except for the one that left and came to live on planet Earth as a new wife.
That made me funny.
I
That made me laugh so hard. Go ahead.
I was talking about to my dad and a couple of my friends about, do you think they'll make a TV series or another movie about them when they came to Earth, that her little modulator that makes her look like a human breaks after they've had 3 or 4 kids or whatever, and how do you hide that you're married to an octopus? But nothing ever happened. But I thought it would have been a funny story or whatever to have on TV, but nothing ever came of it. But I thought,
I guess I better get this out. In 2013, they were in final talks to get the Galaxy Quest series, not movie, not sequel, series,
Mm-hmm.
back up and running. And they had everybody on board except for they weren't sure about the guy, Alan Rickman, not feeling too well. He just wrapped up Harry Potter movies, but he's got cancer. I'm like, okay, well, he should be pulling out of it. A lot of people pull out of it, but he dies in January of 2014, and that was just a hard one for me to swallow. He died, David Bowie died, and Lemmy died all within like a week or two of each other. And I think somewhere I've got a photo somebody shot together, but that killed the momentum for that project to get up off the ground.
Well, I think it really would have been hard to make a new series without all the major characters being in the show. Even if they could only bring him back and he's only in a couple episodes and he dies, doing something heroic or whatever, that still would have worked. But to start the show and try to have him not there at all, I don't know. I just don't think it would have had the same.
Wouldn't have had the same hit. It
Yeah,
wouldn't have had the same
it would
punch.
have accepted the same way as it would have if he was even in just for a few episodes. But even though the people that watch the movie would know that he died because he couldn't help it. I mean, he was sick. But it still just wouldn't clash. It wouldn't fall together the way it should. But I bet it would have been great with all the characters that were in it. And I know Sigourney Weaver would have loved to have done it because she just thought getting to play a blonde, a frilly blonde woman, what are you, a busty bimbo type character. She said it was pretty fun. So, from the one interview that I saw, and I think that was the only one I saw. I didn't think I watched anything with Tim Allen or any of the other people. It was just the Sigourney Weaver interview when she talked about them dyeing her hair blonde and her getting to play a ditzy character. So, I think it was great. And she was what? I told you when the movie came out, I think she was 50 years old.
50 when that movie came out.
Yeah. So she looked damn good.
Yeah. Somebody's going to remember that and be like, oh my God, she was pretty hot in that movie. Mm-hmm.
Well, seeing her was shocking enough for a lot of people because she's always, in her Alien movies, she doesn't dolled up or anything at all. She was very plain Jane, badass. So. But that's why I sent you a couple of those pictures because I wanted you to see her all hot and bothered.
I'm appreciative.
Because you looked really good in those pictures I got to see. I was real impressed. Oh, remember in the one, the second Ghostbusters, she was all dolled up when she became the creature. She was possessed.
Yes.
Really hot in that scene, or a couple of those scenes too.
I don't know if you can see that here.
Yeah, I can see in there.
Yeah. Bowie, Kilminster, and Rickman. I thought that was a pretty good picture.
Yeah, it's David Bowie.
He died about the same time as those two. And then it wasn't long after that Leonard Nimoy died, and I'm like, stop.
Yeah, that's the one thing that sucks about getting older is seeing so many of your mentors, people that you looked up to, pass away. It's always sad.
I'm about to hit 50 in a couple years. And this is probably like where I kind of wish I had like kids, like multiple kids to keep me busy. That way I wouldn't be like counting all my friends who've like died and the ones that are continuing to die off or get ill with cancer. And like, that's like the one thing, the big regret. I don't have kids, plural. I got a kid. I don't have kids. So, um, like when you get older, like as long as you're focusing on your kids and your grandkids, you can do your little funeral rotation or like, hey, we got to go to visitation tonight because Tommy died, or but then you got to go take care of your kids and you get busy again. You don't obsess over it, but when you don't have kids and like me, you're a single child, like you have freedom to do all sorts of things, but like then when something happens, like a pillar in your livelihood falls apart and they die, like all of a sudden you just like you're stuck for like double the amount of time that normal people would be back in action again. You're still there kind of sitting at a funeral plot looking at your buddy's gravestone or looking at old photos for like a couple more nights, and your buddy's like, are you gonna make it? Yeah, it's just that I don't have the shit that keeps me busy like you do. I have all the shit happening in my head. That's why that's why this is here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yet, when something big happens, like grandparents die or parents die, my parents haven't died yet, but when that happens, I'm gonna go fucking crazy because I talk to them every day, and I treasure them. They're
Well,
you
all I
understand
can
that.
is I still talk to my mom. I lost my mom, and I still talk to her. I tell her, when I'm really upset or I'm really happy, and I tell her, I'm really happy, or this something happened, it was great, or I wish you could have been here with me when I did this or whatever. So they're still, you can't hold them in your arms and hug them or tell them you love them in person, but you just have to have, I don't know. I just have, that's one thing that I think helps me is it helps me think that there has to be something more,
Yes,
because when my energy is gone from this planet, where is it going to go? It goes somewhere. I mean, 'cause energy travels. I mean, once it leaves, it disperses, but it goes somewhere else. You
true.
know, so science tells us that, but where does it go? you know, but like a black hole, everything keeps going in, but where does it come out at? I mean, how big can it get? I mean, you know what I mean? It's very interesting, and I'm not eager to find out today,
No.
but one day I'm gonna find out. But
Yes.
I don't look. I try not to look at it as the end, because to me, I don't believe it is the end. I believe that there's something else. I don't know. I can't. I haven't been there, and I can't say I talked to anybody from there. It would be nice to talk to somebody from there. That would be phenomenal, I think, from wherever it is. It could be multiple places, because I do believe that there could be possibilities of multiple dimensions and things like that. But one day somebody will find out, and that'll be phenomenal. But just the thought of the characters in this movie loving their character enough to make it a real character. You know what I mean? To millions of people that got to watch it. Even the kid. What was so funny when the kid was the other night when I was watching this, because that took me 2 nights to watch it, and then I watched it over again to get little things that I remembered. I took notes, but the one part where they're getting ready to go through the chompers, and then it flashes back to the kid's house, and he's taking the trash out, and the mom's yelling at him, the whole thing. Well, when I saw her, I went, oh my God, I know who that woman is. She played the girlfriend of George of Seinfeld.
Wait, what?
That became the lesbian.
No.
Yeah, I really think that's her. So I'm
Oh,
going to look up real quick and see.
okay, let me note this down.
I can't remember what her name was, the actress. But when she was sitting on the couch, and she tells her husband, well, at least he's going outside when he was leaving with all those Roman candles, to help guide the ship. God, that was so funny. I can't help it. It was so funny. But that's who I think that woman was.
Heidi Sledberg. And she played Susan Ross on Seinfeld.
He did. See, I knew I recognized her. I'm like, that's George's girlfriend, and she became a lesbian because of George. Oh, God, it was funny. But that's who it was. And I was surprised because I mean, there was lots of actors in there. The second or third time I watched it, I realized there was a lot more actors in there that I've seen in many other things that careers really took off, I guess. Or was it after that they were on the other shows? I'd have to go sit down and think about it, but I just remembered her face. And I was like, I know her from something. And the same thing with the Sam Rockwell, the guy that played Guy.
Yes.
Which he did phenomenal at, playing somebody that's just an extra, a featured extra that's gonna bite the big one because he's wearing a red uniform or whatever, even though it wasn't red, but I'm using it from the Star Trek part. But I get told that all the time because when I posted that video of me and my outfit I made for Comic-Con and my boots and everything, everybody's like, oh, it's too bad you're wearing red because you're gonna die. But because when you love that stuff, that's what you do. You just want to be a part of something bigger than yourself. But not Rickman, but what was his name? Rockwell. He did such a good job playing a nobody, because knowing that, and then he thinks the episode when they're picking up the beryllium, the big ball of beryllium, those little
the large beryllium sphere.
Yeah, the sphere.
The mining site.
The little bitty creatures that come out that look like little babies or very young children,
Yes.
and he realizes that something bad's going to happen. Haven't you guys ever watched your own show? But little things like that it filled every nook and cranny of this movie. It made it so enjoyable because it was so realistic to me. It was like I was really watching 4 or 5 washed up actors getting to go to outer space and fight this horrible, terrible alien that wanted to sooner or later come to our planet and take us out too. So and it was kind of neat because even though they were like like fish lizard people or whatever, because I thought of fish because they look slimy and they look like lionfish, at least the one leader looks like a lionfish with the
Ferris looked like a lionfish.
Yeah. So it reminded me of Klingons, the Klingon character. So it did have so many similarities that made me think of Star Trek. And maybe that's one reason why I loved it so much, because I loved growing up watching Star Trek, even though, and I never watched an episode back then on VHS or anything, and thought it was corny. You know what I mean? I never even looked twice at it and thought it was stupid. Or kids today would watch it.
Perish those thoughts. Let those thoughts go away.
Because
those are bad thoughts.
Yeah, because kids today would see it and say that's bad, or this the CGI. But I don't think so. I mean, I can still watch them. I mean, I still sit and every year. I go through this phase where I'll sit and watch the very first episode and watch every single episode. Within like one a day or sometimes 2 a day on the weekends or whatever. And just watch them and I can sit and watch them, when they're on a set and they're in supposed to be a little Western town and they have to shoot them out, shoot them up with some of the characters in it and just different things like that. And it's really corny, but I still love it. And I want to watch it. I just want to sit and I'm entertained still after all this time. and I just I just love them. I just love those shows. And this movie really did make me feel. Uh, I mean, honestly, if you did a contest and you said you had all the Trekkies at a big convention get together and you asked them what the best Star Trek movies were, someone might even say this was the Star Trek movie. If they wrote them down and they took a poll or whatever, I bet that would happen because this is so similar to me of what Star Trek would be, a phenomenal movie. And I just thought it was really, really, really good. And I wish everyone I knew could get to sit down and watch it. And I think they'd really love it, even if they're not into Star Trek or into sci-fi, because it's not just sci-fi; it's comedy and romance and action. I mean, it's got a little of everything in it. I loved it.
It does. It has a great blend of elements in it, and the part that was probably most suspenseful for me was the part where they first are encountering Saris after he's in his ship, and he says he does something. No, no. Tim's like trying to tell Sigourney Weaver cut, and she's like, "Yeah, I know, but I don't know how to shut that off." So he's still here and he's still listening to you. If only I was as idiotic as I am ugly. And then they're like, "Hey, boss, I got a green thing. When there's a red thing coming towards a green thing, I think the green thing is us." I thought
Yeah,
that was the
and
one
the
of the
scene
best
that
parts.
sitting on was to the right of the captain sitting in his chair when he's facing the front, right where Spock would be sitting.
Mm-hmm.
So the similarities is over the top. You know it is of the way that they had it set up uh, for running the ship. How they came into the back of the ship when all of them said they want to watch this historical event where they're leaving this, the space station, and everything about it. It just seemed so similar, and it was hilarious. I loved it. I know I've said
I,
that again, but it was really good.
when the protector flies away from the camera after it gets damaged and it kind of tumbles in space, that's probably the best shot of the protector we have. That's probably the best ship porn of the protector in that movie.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I'm sitting here trying to think of the worst scene in the movie, and I can't really pick one. I'm
The
trying.
deleted scenes are deleted for a reason, so I'm not going to include those. But I can't think of a bad moment in that movie. I really can't. Every scene builds properly upon the last scene, and it steers the ship forward.
Well, see, even the beginning, uh, I didn't think was bad. I mean, the part where the aliens show up at his house and he's got a real bad hangover, and that he lets them in, and
Mm-hmm.
he looks down and he realizes he's not wearing any pants. And you can't really tell if he has underwear on or not, which he might not. I mean, we don't know. But then he gets on his hands and knees and he's trying to find his shoes, and he pulls one out from under the bed, and they're all four standing behind him. And then Mathesar says, "This is one of the most exciting experiences of our lives," or whatever he's talking, and they're all looking at his ass. Just little stuff like that was just so funny. I was laughing my rear off. I couldn't.
Mathesar and the Thermians have that way of talking. We have possibly become more than what we thought. That
Just listening to your voice. You did good. You can do him for Halloween. That was great. But that's what I'm saying. The actor that played the commander of the
Enrico, I think.
thermites or whatever. How do you say the name?
Thermian.
Thermians. He did great. He was so good. And
Enrico.
him all very pale and having black hair and all that stuff, kind of like Data. You know what I mean? The paleness, like they're all like Data. But they're it's supposedly a little module thing that they're wearing, because when they first land on the ship, after they left Earth, and they got that goo all over them, and they land there, and they're all breathing heavy and trying to, their minds are trying to absorb what just happened to them, and then here comes these three uh, giant octopuses with probes and stuff. Okay, and they go up to sorry,
Trying to touch them.
but when you look across the scene and you see them holding these instruments and they're moving them, the one just the one in front of Sigourney Weaver's face is an actual thing that they use when they give women a pap smear.
What?
Just give me a
Oh
second.
wow!
Can you bring that scene up? Can you bring that one scene and take a look at
Try to bring that scene
out
up.
of it? It just popped in my head. And I remember just having to pause it over and over because I was laughing so hard when I realized what the instrument was in front of her face. It was so embarrassing, but funny as hell. I can't stop laughing thinking about it, because I know there had to be outtakes from that when they came in there and were holding whatever they were holding. That Sigourney Weaver had that one in her face, and she had to have known what it was, and so whoever put it in the props knew what it was too. I'm gonna look up the name of it, what that's called. God, that was so funny, because only a person that's in a room when a woman gets her pap smear would even know what that looks like. So let me Google it real quick and see if I can find it. What is that tool called? It's almost like a shoehorn, but it looks like a big duck's beak.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's in front of her. So I just thought it was so funny that they did it in front of the woman. Like, she knows. She's like thinking, oh my God, I'm about to get probed.
Right in front of all these men.
Yeah, but it was just so funny. Their choice in props for that one scene. God, it was funny.
That's pretty good. That's
But most people wouldn't even notice. I mean, I'm just saying. That's what I'm saying. I had to watch the movie, and then I watched it again. But this time I paused it in certain areas so I could, zoom in and look at different things that was in the scenes, because I was amazed at all the detail they used. But I wanted to find out what that tool is. So hold on. I can't talk and type at the same time.
it's all right.
God, that was funny. But it was funny. I wish I knew where it was. Oh, there it is. I found one. I'll send you a picture.
Okay.
DM. I'll send you a DM, and you're going to know exactly what it is. So hold on.
The part where they're eating.
Oh, yeah. And Rickman had nails and stuff and the little heels. That was funny. Oh, I wish I'd thought of this so I could have told you beforehand, so you'd have had that scene or a picture from that scene ready. Right. Oh, sorry, I didn't think about it.
You're good.
Oh, gosh, it was funny. Oh, sorry, I just airdropped something to myself.
Yeah, that scene right there, and then it decides to jump up.
Oh, God, it was
pop. I don't want to do that too much. I don't want to get banned or demonetized.
Which scene? That one scene that you already showed?
Yeah. The supper.
Yeah, but if you could just take a snapshot of that one scene, I don't know how you would do it because I haven't learned how to do that yet. But I did send you a picture of it so that the people that do watch this video, when they watch it, the movie themselves, and they can see that one scene and pause it and see this in front of her face with that octopus holding it because they forgot to push their those little modules that make them look human. Their buttons, and they realize, oh, we're so sorry because they can't even hear what they're going and talking to each other, and they got those tools and all the different hands that they've got or tentacles. And when I saw what was in the hand of the one in front of Sigourney Weaver, I just started laughing my butt off because I'd seen the movie twice or three times and I didn't realize what it was until the other day when I watched it to get ready for this. And oh God, it was funny. But I sent you a picture of one.
Okay.
So you can show it because I don't think you get demonetized for showing pap smear items, will you?
No. Oh my God.
Oh my God, it was so funny. But you have to go back and watch that scene yourself because you're going to go, that really is what I know. Now I know what it is because it's really in the movie. But that was genius to me. I just wish that I would have picked up on it sooner, but it was so funny. Couldn't help it. Yeah. My
Go ahead.
Scares a lot of people.
That scene is funny, and let me see if I can pull that up real quick. No, damn it. Yeah, I found something here. And this is like one of these scenes in this movie that you see this and you're not quite right afterwards because you're like, did that just happen? Yeah.
Yeah, go. That was amazing. The guy was hilarious in that scene. He's so funny because he's so freaked out. Okay, now here they come. And plus, they're freezing, I'm sure. I mean, they could be dead, but they're not. They're still alive because they just traveled through space. You know, watch that one going towards the UV Weaver. No, wait just a second. See it? Oh my God, that's so funny. And the look on her face, like, what are you going to do with that?
You spread them out.
Get rid of it over. But do you see what I mean? If you didn't know it before, you would not know it. But I've seen that before. Oh my God, I'm terrible. I'm sorry. But I couldn't help it. It was so funny.
I'll take it. That's funny though.
Yeah, it is funny, but that's what I'm saying. The attention to detail for the props department. Oh my goodness, that's funny. But now I'm stuffed up from laughing. I can't help it. I didn't mean to that bad off, but yeah, the overall different scenes and the they when they did the detail of showing him being enveloped with whatever it is, like liquid oxygen or a mixture of nitrogen and oxygen. I don't know, but it was really, really very sci-fi. I mean, it was just so. You remember the movie or the TV show Stargate? SG-1?
Years ago.
Yeah. Okay. Remember the gate itself when they put their hand through it and stuff? That was like a liquid barrier. So when they used this barrier, in this movie, those connected to me for the two, even though I know they were years and years apart. But the reality of using some type of liquid barrier like that for space travel or a spacesuit or something, even if going on another planet. Me, if they did do it, to me it would be believable because it just seems science would back me or something. You know what I mean? So that whole aspect of how they traveled and got them from one ship to Earth and then back to the other planet or whatever was very, very believable for a Star Trek type. You know.
I after they do their cross the intergalactic space, Jason Nesmith takes Tony Shalhoub down. He shows him the ship, and everybody else is just kind of stumbling around.
Yeah.
And you got Guy Fleegman and Alexander Dane and Gwen DeMarco just stumbling, like, what happened? What are we doing here? Tommy Weber's like, just kind of shambling behind the three of them in the rear. And you could tell that they were starstruck because, like, they're realizing this isn't a set.
Yeah, this is real.
Like a set, it's not a set.
Yeah, that's why I think Guy, like when they went to that planet and he made that comment, he said, haven't you guys ever watched any of your shows?
Yeah.
Because he thought they were clueless when it came to what kind of stuff happens to him because they were the stars of the show. So they knew they weren't going to die. And so they never thought twice of the featured extras that were on there that were going to be slaughtered on their show. And nothing because it didn't affect them. But Guy had played one of those characters, and he knew that he was the one that was going to be sacrificed when the time came. So to him, it was more believable that he was going to die, but one of those creatures was going to kill him. And then when they all get taken back up to the ship, and Tim Allen's still down there. Kind of like, and the view that you get on the monitor and they're looking down was like that one view where you had Spock and Kirk fighting the other warriors on that one planet to be able to go back to the ship, and they had to fight to the death or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost just like the exact same view that you were getting before they were going to try to bring him back. And when they brought back the pig creature, and it was inside out, and that is it Mathazar? Was it him standing there, or was it Mathazar's second standing there?
I think the second stands there.
Yeah, when he says he's explaining that it exploded, and that piece falls off his lips. While he's talking. He just keeps talking because to him it's the emotional stuff, which was funny to me because the whole thing of Data wanting to become emotional and have feelings and stuff. So I just thought they all did a really good job at portraying entities that hadn't learned human emotion. So, and they were slowly trying to understand, greed, lying, deceitfulness, love, compassion, all those different things they were trying to understand that they learned from the humans because they were watching their TV show. And now they were learning it in real life. And that whole aspect and how it came across in the movie was phenomenal. I thought they did an excellent job doing that, portraying that. But the little tiny aspects of the little things that they added to the movie to add, I don't know, reality, the little real things that they added here and there.
Yes.
And when they end up going back and they crash right back where they started at the Comic-Con, that was just, million to one odds that could ever happen. They would go right back to the same place. But I just thought that was funny too, how they did that. And the people are still wandering around because they said they hadn't been back in 3 days. They hadn't seen them. So the newscaster, remember, he's walking around, the reporter on the TV show or on the TV news, and he said that what was his name again? Nesbitt.
Yes,
Yeah,
Jason.
they said he hasn't been there he hasn't been shown up at the Comic-Con in 3 days. But it was the last day of the con, and that they're hoping that he's going to show up. And then the ship crashes, tears up everything, but doesn't kill anyone. So I just thought
Plot armor.
that was really funny, though. The way they did it, it wasn't stupid. The way they did it, it just made it comical. So I just thought it was great. I just really loved it. And the fact that the creature was still alive and he vaporized him with his ray gun or whatever, I thought that was cool. Because now it wasn't. Because now it really was a hero. For real. Is no longer just an actor. So I thought.
Well, the only thing I don't like about this movie is they sent Tommy Weber to go practice flying.
Yeah.
That's the only part about the movie I don't like, because I think if the camera would have gone on him for like 2 or 3 minutes and showed like a little bit of training or him getting more used to the controls, I think it would have been fine. And I mean fine I think it would have been great. I would have wanted to see that. That's the only thing I don't really like, is that you don't get to follow Tommy practice.
Well, they did do a small portion of him practicing. He was sitting there and he was watching himself on the iPad type thing. And he was moving his hands the same way and everything, like he was trying to watch himself on the show.
Yeah.
So control the controller. So they did add that aspect of it. It wasn't for very long, but you knew he was supposedly sitting there practicing and trying to memorize his hand motion so that when they did leave, he could get him out of there. Yeah. But what was one thing that, now that I'm thinking about it, now I can think about it, is the part where they go through the minefield, all the mines out there the first time, and they actually get hit and get blown up. And boy, they took a buttload of hits, didn't they?
Yeah, and that minefield about screwed him up completely.
Yeah,
and lovely Cherry.
But the whole thing about getting to they were dragging all those mines and they got sucked right into that other ship. That was pretty cool. But the fact that the other ship hit them in so many strategic places, and before they limped away, to get repairs and get the new spear. Boy, they took a lot of damage. To me, that was the part that was the hardest part to believe, was that they took that many hits and it didn't completely dismantle the ship and make it useless, because that was a lot of damage. I mean,
that was something I was worried about.
Huh?
That was something I was actually kind of worried about the first time I saw it. I'm like, they're going to destroy the ship their first time out.
Yeah, because we didn't know that there was going to be a second time out the first time you watched it. And it looked like the ship was, limping along, that they didn't have any way to get anywhere anymore. And then when the ship tells them where they found, when Sigourney Weaver says, "Well, where can we find more?" You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, because I thought that was funny for her character, because she only had, the only job is that the computer only listens to her, it doesn't listen to the captain.
That was something that in the theater, like, that got a big kick out of us.
Yeah.
And then later on, when she's repeating everything and then asking the computer, even though everybody else is right there, she's the one that's tasked for it. She lives that scene up. She elevates that scene.
Yeah, it was just funny because it was in a way, it was kind of showing that the women really aren't needed. They're just there for looks and for aesthetic pleasure. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that whole aspect, and then them coming out with that shoehorn at that one part, it was all connected because that's basically, what they were. I mean, they were just clothes. Because, back then, supposedly, the women weren't really taken serious for those kind of characters. It's basically what they were playing for. And I thought it was funny.
Well, yeah. I mean, Star Trek the original series had Yeoman Rand on there, and her only thing she ever did was hand Kirk the slate, the tablet. That was it.
Yeah.
Everything else she did, it was with her body.
Yeah, it was, but it was just funny, and that was one of the parts in the interview with Sigourney Weaver, her talking about getting to play a blonde and flitting her. She said she noticed herself, taking her hand and like brushing her hair over her shoulder and flipping her hair, and things like that, simply because they dyed her hair blonde. She said it made her feel bubbly and bouncy or whatever those different words. But I just thought it was funny because she she normally plays she's very dramatic when she plays her character. She gets really enveloped into the person that she's portraying. One of those very serious actors. So and she's been in lots and lots of stuff. But I just thought it was I just thought she did such a good job as a bubbly blonde. Something I never would have thought, and plus the whole aspect of her bringing her whole alien background, her sci-fi background to the add to this movie, too, I thought was ingenious to pick her to be that character, too. So, to me, it looked like every single person they picked to be on the show was for a specific reason to add more sci-fi details into the streamlining of the movie. I don't know if that makes any sense or not.
It
But
definitely helps.
yeah, it definitely made a difference to me. But you're right, there really wasn't very much at all in bad, you know, uh, things to pick out of the movie to bring it down. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
There was so much good in it. It was just really hard for me to. I'd had to really sit and think anything bad about this movie because there was so much good in it, so much detail and everything. It was awesome. Oh, she's saying she's being stalked by George Lucas.
Not really a bad thing. George Lucas gave me my livelihood.
Yep.
Um, and I mean that for the fact that I wanted to be one of the guys that fixed the ship. I wanted to be wearing the red engineering outfits when I was a little kid because I wanted to be working with Scotty. And then when I grew up and I became a Navy sailor at the age of 18, I didn't really fix things on ship. We were in the division that typically broke shit and then tried to help the other people fix things, but we were just like fetch boys because that's what you do when you're starting out something in mechanical. You don't really know what you're doing. You have to watch and just go get the tools associated with the job. And so that was something that we did a lot of in the Navy was we ran for parts quite a bit because unless you're assigned a piece of equipment, you're more or less just like hired help.
Yeah.
That's about it. So we did that, and then once once I got out in the real world and I started doing stuff in college and post active duty time, post 2000, it took me a while to get into this trade, but now I can actually say I can keep the flow on a ship running because I'm getting to be that level of plumber where I can assemble the pipes, I can get the pumps ready, I can get things going to where we can have showers set up. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Important.
The
But when
yeah, it is.
or
Uh, this about this the second act is probably the weakest in this movie because you have to meet Saris and then you have to watch the good guys get beat up. Then they go searching for the beryllium sphere. The
uh-huh.
beryllium sphere, the mining town, was probably the part of the second act that helped save it or salvage it because you get to see the little creatures that, oh, they're so cute, they look like kids, and then they show their teeth and they rip out the pieces of the other one, the injured one.
Injured one. Uh-huh. Yeah, that was funny. And then the fact that when they take off in the little tiny shuttle to go back to the ship with the sphere, and they had to leave Tim Allen, okay, you're thinking that he's probably getting torn to shreds by those little creatures. But then when when we go back and we see him, he's unconscious on the ground and he's being licked by some weird creature, almost like in the movie Stargate. Remember
Yeah,
when
it looks like
creature
actually
was on that planet licking? What was that actor's name? That actor that had passed out on the ground and had been dragged off.
yes.
Creature was licking him. So there was lots of little things in it that reminded me of so many other sci-fi movies. I was really surprised.
Well, this right here is I got reminded of the squigs from Warhammer 40K, and these are a little creature that's mostly all mouth,
Yeah.
and that's what it reminded me of far too much. Anyway, so I like geeky shit like that, and that's just part of our charm. Um, that big thing is licking him in the face. He starts waking up, and then he thinks he can beat it because he's able to kind of distract it. He's got his shirt off, and then he gets attacked by the rock monster. About dies. Now they teleport the squig back on the ship, and the squig doesn't quite survive.
It's like the movie The Fly. Remember the movie The Fly with Jeff Gold?
I love that movie.
And he tries to teleport that one uh, creature in there, and it turns inside out. Okay, so
Yes.
basically that part, when they bring it up there and it's like that, it's like using a part of that other movie. So there's so many aspects in one movie from so many different movies that reminds me of all these different movies because they touch so many bases from sci-fi points of view. I just thought that was amazing. It was so busy and filled. Every gap was filled with something. Some um, aspect of something that could be used in any of the sci-fi movies you might watch. And I thought that was really interesting how they did that.
When they get the beryllium sphere back on board, they're it's not long after that they encounter Saris.
Yeah, because he's wanting the what was it, the
Omega 13.
yeah, Mega 13, and they don't know what it's for because in the TV show they took it from another planet. And then so when the young kids, the Trekkies or the whatever you want to call them, tell them what we think it's this, and he's like, well, what good is 13 seconds? Taking you back seconds. And he goes, well, it's enough time to stop to fix one mistake, that type of thing. So then I started thinking about it. Oh, that's awesome. And then they show how the beryllium is like moving around in that one. And I was like, that is really, really cool. So it had some really top-notch sci-fi points of view in it, too, intertwined in the comedy, which I really enjoyed. It really, all that really was exciting, trying to figure out how to get out of this mess. You know what I mean? Hoping they're going to be able to use whatever skills they have to be able to do that. Coffee beans. So you grind your own coffee?
I grind my coffee. Blackout Coffee Company, Huckleberry Coffee. It's one of their flavored coffees. It tastes a little bit different than the regular coffees. It's got like a more bitter or almost like a tartish flavor to it. It's really good. I'd say about a solid 4-star coffee. It's not my favorite by any means. My favorite they do is the Morning Reaper. By the way, this is a paid promotion, but if you need blackout coffee, I can help you. Thank you, Grumpy, for posting that in chat. Okay. The Beryllium Sphere moment, you're talking about how that, like, at that point, CGI had been part of movies for quite a while. But this movie really kind of uses the CGI in its best aspects. I mean, the rock monster is probably the worst looking special effect in the movie. The beryllium dancing around above is one of the better ones for CGI.
Yeah, it was very beautiful. I mean, it was uh, intriguing too, because you were wondering what the kid said about what that did was real or not. So when they're ready to push that button, you're kind of, worried that it's not going to work. So I don't know. I thought that was a very intense part of the movie to me, and the part where they about kiss, and because they think they're going to die,
Yes,
stops in one what so many seconds or whatever it was it 10 seconds or something?
I think so.
Yeah, and she says, "Oh, that's right. It does it in all the shows." So they realize,
The timer stops at 1 second till.
oh, that's right, 1 second. Okay, but I knew it was something. I was like, "Golly, it's taking too long. I don't remember this part happening." So there was parts that I didn't remember, and then there were things that happened that I did see that were I didn't see before because I was able to pay more attention to things that were going on away from the actor, around the outside of the actor instead of looking right at the actor. I was able to do that by getting to watch it, 2 or 3 times. I'm glad I did because, gosh, I laughed. I laughed and laughed. My stomach.
This movie is exactly what I needed, and I'm having a hard time remembering what we watched last week. But oh, it was Where Eagles Dare.
Yeah,
But and I told my dad, I'm like, we're reviewing this movie tonight, so after we're done with the stream, I'm gonna have to send the link over to him to have him check it out on YouTube. But he this is a movie that my dad and I both like whenever we're like we just had a shit day, like and you know what I'm talking about.
yeah,
Like you get out of the grocery store and somebody's dented your car, or maybe your boss has passed you up on a promotion, or maybe your wife or girlfriend has said something that just doesn't, or your boyfriend has said something to you that really just gets under your skin. This is the movie that you put in to kind of escape. Going on yesterday's stream with Makani, our entire theme was escapism, and this movie really falls into that.
yeah, this is definitely a good way to escape if you just want to forget about all your problems. Uh, just for I think it was an hour and what uh
Hour and almost 40 minutes.
yeah, almost 2 hours, but an hour and a half. If you want a good hour and a half to just put your feet back, eat some popcorn, because this is definitely a movie where you could enjoy popcorn and just enjoy yourself, because I enjoyed myself immensely. I laughed a lot. I cried. I can't remember what his name is when he died, and Alan Rickman's character avenges him. Um, and I laughed every time that someone would come up to him and say that line, and that look on his face. He was so good. He was such a good actor. I just sad he's gone, but he was so good. But
Well,
And Guy basically stole the show with his some of his scenes, especially the scene where um, when they first landed on the ship after flying through outer space. That whole scene after all that stuff went on, and he screamed at that one scene. I thought that was so funny. It was so funny. It was amazing how good all the characters did in their parts for their characters.
I'd like to say
Darn.
welcome in to one of our chat members, Heathen Dog. Heathen Dog is a friend of mine and a lot of people here in the chats. He's a co-host on the burgeoning and growing channel, The Legion of Myth. And he says, we just finished the trash backstory of After the Bomb, a classic RPG from 1985 or 86, I think. Sorry about that, Janet. I do try to interact with my chat a bit, and maybe that's wrong, but I want a big chat. I want numbers enough to where I can talk to people, and I can do things with them, like say 100 people or less. Any more than 100 people typing it in chat at once, and I'm never going to get to everybody.
Yeah,
it's just a wash, and I hate to say that.
you could interact with your fans because they're the reason why you have a channel.
Exactly, and they're not just here because of me or my inability to put paint in the right locations. They're here to actually listen in on one of the greatest discussions about one of the best movies ever made. And I would say probably in 1999 there was not a better film that came out.
I think this was one of the best movies that year, period. It was, I mean, it had every base covered. I mean, well, except for horror. I mean, you can't, I wouldn't say there was anything to do with horror in this movie, but
whenever the octopi are snapping the spreadum tool to Sigourney Weaver, I mean that is kind of horror.
Be horrified, you know what I'm saying? But it was funny. I can tell you, I laughed my butt off. This movie was so funny. There are so many funny aspects in it, and I just don't see how they can make a movie this funny again with all the restrictions now on comedy. You know, you can't make fun of anything anymore, and that's sad because I loved it. I thought it was very good. I mean, I could sit if I could went through it and watch it one more time. I'm sure I'd find some more stuff. Yeah. Sarah's hammer. Yeah, that was the line I was trying to remember a while ago. And everybody
grab Thaw's hammer.
And Rick, he was sick of it. He was ready to just end it all because he couldn't take it. Couldn't take it anymore. But the whole thing he went through on that spaceship to try to save those people that were suffocating, it made him realize that, he could be a hero, a real one, a mentor, and he was. I loved it.
Yeah, the third act has a lot of really good stuff in it. I think that's probably where, and I don't know if Galaxy Quest was actually, if the script writers, if anybody in the script writing had ever done Trek as a series or a part of the movies, but in the third act, when Jason Nesmith starts to talk to the fans on the ground and they're coordinating how they're going to get them triangulated back home and to where they can get back to the convention, because the convention's still going on, and Jason Nesmith and the whole crew of the Protector haven't shown up. And you have the little boy helping them out, the Mac kid.
Yeah.
Justin Long. He's helping them out. Brandon is helping them on. And he's making sure, but he's orchestrating. He's showing good leadership skills here for like a 14-year-old kid, because he's putting everything together and making sure all of his friends that are strong in whatever section, like oh, you're going into engineering? Well, my friend Kyle knows about engineering, and he routes him over to Kyle, and that's kind of like where I thought if these people worked on Trek and they did the movie Galaxy Quest, they are literally massaging our backs right now, telling us, "Don't worry, it'll be okay." And this movie is for you. We are saying thank you directly in the third act of Galaxy Quest when they're talking directly to Brandon, getting back home. And it just felt like as the little nodule from the protector shoots off and it starts crashing through the parking lot, skipping across the asphalt. Whenever it's doing that, it crashes into the structure.
Yep.
And all the Trek fans, all the Galaxy Quest fans are transfixed by this.
Yeah, and then they all cheer. They're all cheering, screaming like
Yeah.
it's part of the show. But
And
what was really adorable was the young boy that's helping them to come back to Earth. When he hears uh, Tim Allen saying, "Are you there? Brandon, are you there? We need your help." And he's talking and he's looking around trying to figure out where the voice is coming from, and realizes that the communicator was real. And he's listening, and he's like, "I just want you to know that I understand that it's just TV show. It's not real." And he goes, "It's all real." And he's like, "I knew it. I knew it." Just like the rest of us geeks. I mean, which one of us, okay, you or me or any of our friends that are involved in this stuff, wouldn't be happy to have that part, to be
wouldn't
involved?
you wouldn't you like to know it's real?
Yeah, I would.
I mean,
Said
wouldn't you? I'd go batshit crazy, but I'd be happy. Sorry,
I
I'll
would
let
be
you.
happy.
I'll let
He
you talk.
was happy. He was happy. He was happy that he was involved, and his friends were happy to help. They're the reasons why they made it through the belly of the ship, through the
Yeah,
dump, get there and turn off the engines and stuff, uh, or
they
the
shut down the
core.
reactor core for a moment to stop the overload.
So because of those nerdy kids, they were able to accomplish their goal, keep it from being smashed by those smashy things, like what he said in the movie. That's the stupidest writer on.
Bonkers.
Yeah, so it was funny. It was really funny. Every little aspect of it was really good. That was great.
Yeah, and I continue to watch this movie. It's 2022. We are 23 years out, and there's a documentary called "Never Give Up, Never Surrender." Actually, there's a couple of them, but the one that was made a few years back, I want to say 2015. They talk about it, and they said they were getting ready to do a series, a television series based on Galaxy Quest with Tim Allen and Sigourney Weaver, and people had started signing contracts, and they're getting ready to do it, but Alan Rickman's not feeling well, and then with his passing, they dropped that project. They can't do it without Alexander Dane. They couldn't do that without him. He
Yeah,
has to be there. He has to
I don't
be
think.
there to give him shit.
Yeah, nobody else could have done that part either. I just don't think enough people would have accepted someone else playing him. So I could see why they had to drop it. Just it's a shame, but yeah, it was really good. But then at the end of the movie, you get to see that there's a brand new series.
Yes.
They're all starring in it. So and Guy got a last name. He's like, "I don't have a last name. What's my last name? What's my last name?" God, it was funny. But he got a last name at the ending. So he's now a regular on the show. And that's all he ever wanted. So his dream came true. Yeah, and the character arcs were great. Just like I was talking about earlier, is that each character uh, developed and learned and became a better person through the whole action of what they did and what they learned as what they did to help the what were the thermites, or how do you pronounce their name?
Thermians.
Thermians.
Thermians. My
That's
bad.
and save their race from being destroyed. So I just loved it. I just thought it was really good. It was one of those movies where the bad guys lose, and I don't think there's enough of those anymore, where the bad guys don't win. And a young Thermian that never thought he would ever be anything was now the leader of the other Thermians, and they accepted him and looked up to him because he became now he is a commander himself. And I just thought that was awesome. That was one of the best arcs in the show. And he was tortured, and all kinds of horrible things happened to him, and he didn't break down simply because of his will.
It's Brit.
Yeah, his will to be like his idol was Tim Allen's character. So I just thought that was phenomenal.
The part about Balthazar that I liked was that even when he gets hobbled and he's walking around with the cane, he still manages to beat the shit out of somebody with it. I mean, he absolutely loses it, and he uses that cane to its best effect.
Yeah,
And
yeah, he got revenge. He got tortured by this guy, this
yeah,
horrible creature, and it was nice. It was nice to see him get what he deserved at the end, and we don't get that enough either in movies. We
not
don't.
really, not in the way that we got with that. And I thought it was funny because at the very end, you have the Omega 13 trigger, and then Jason Nesmith, saves the crew with that, and then they depart from the protector. They skip through traffic, skip through the asphalt, arrive on stage. Then there's Saris again, and there's Jason doing his grab the blaster, do the roll, stand up, fire, shoot, and then it
Save
hits
everybody as
Saris.
the con.
Right?
Yeah, that was great.
It hits him, and then it pops. It. I don't know. I guess I'll have to show this here.
Well, that one part where Alan Rickman is in there with, they just opened the doors for all the suffocating thermians or whatever, and they're all like, "Praise you, thank you for saving our lives," and he's raising his arms up because he's feeling like he's going to be praised for what he just did, and then they start saying Tim Allen's name.
Jason Nesmith. Thank you,
Yeah.
Commando.
So, and the look on his face is like, "Oh, it's not fair," whatever. It's so funny. See, even him being let down was funny. We couldn't help but laugh at it because it was so typical of what you would think would happen in that type of a sci-fi. So I thought it was great. I just thought the writing was phenomenal, the acting was phenomenal, the story was phenomenal, the story arcs were phenomenal. I mean, it was just excellent. I can see why it's a classic because good nerds are not going to let this movie ever die. So it was good.
And there's Saris.
Yep, and he's scary.
He man, he will put the fear of God in you. If you are a fan, you look at that and you're like, that guy could seriously destroy us. He does what he does. He's a ruthless, tyrannical, evil force, and he's scared these other creatures to follow under his lead. And he was the perfect bad guy for this film.
He did great.
Very rarely do you have a movie where you have the bad guy actually being a bad guy. We had 24 movies from Marvel come out, and I only thought maybe one, Thanos, was the bad guy. Everybody else just seems like, it's, pretty Princess Day. We're just gonna like role play some rar shit. I'm a bad guy. Blah blah.
Well,
No,
that's what.
Thanos was a bad guy.
Yeah, Khan was a bad guy
Yeah.
in the Wrath of Khan. I think that's why a lot of the Trekkies that I know like that was the best Star Trek movie. Was the Wrath of.
It's a toss up for me between that one and the Undiscovered Country.
Well, yeah, I loved all of them. I mean, I really, if I had to pick one, I couldn't because I thought it was great. All of them were great because each of them had totally different stories, and the actors all did great. I mean, I just loved it, but I absolutely loved Star Trek. I mean, I grew up um, loving it because my dad loved it, and I thought one day, we're all going to be able to go to outer space, and well, I don't, I'm realizing now that that's probably never going to happen while I'm alive, where people are just traveling from one planet to another, things like that. But it sure would be cool. I'd be one of the first ones to sign up to do it.
Yeah, I feel you there. I really do. And I'm kind of envious because the Air Force is the one controlling Space Force right now, but they're I don't know if they're going to get to do what they're intended to do. And I hate to say it. We do kind of have a Star Trek lifestyle because we got the phones, and the phones are basically, like what Yeoman Rand was passing off to Kirk, except she didn't realize that there's all these knobs on there, and that's a little bit too 60s tech. By the time the 2010s roll around, it's a smooth slate that changes with every page. And they didn't think that far ahead, but that's okay. I can forgive Star Trek in the 1965 on their design of their props. I can forgive them. But man, with saying space travel, we do have pretty much everything I was wanting to have in the future because I didn't want to have flying cars. I'm I'm a great driver, but I know how other people are. And we would die off as a species because of all the wrecks in our flying cars.
You didn't think that the flying cars in the Fifth Element were cool?
I thought they were great, but I didn't think we'd get to that point. I think we'd get like two or three generations before that, and they just stop, or we'd front end ourselves to death.
Yeah. I first saw Fifth Element, and I was thinking, wow, that was super neat.
I
Getting
love that movie.
where they're flying and fight. He's being chased through the city, up in the air. But I thought that was just really phenomenal. I could see that in the future. I mean, I really could. Honestly, I really think that we could have cars that, hovercrafts or whatever you want to call them. But I don't know. I just hope I'm able to walk and get around whenever this stuff happens. It would be really cool.
And Heathen Dog's right. Alan Rickman carries the lion's share of the drama on the show for a great reason. He's a great actor. He has this range. He was a classically trained actor. He was I believe a play a Broadway play actor, and then
Yes.
he got into some minor roles. And then in '86 he was in either '86 or '88 Die Hard. And after that,
Oh yeah, that's right. I loved him in that.
I just watched that for the first time in probably 3 years, and I forgot all the little touches in that movie. And that
God,
movie is we'll have to talk about that movie in the future here.
yeah.
But that is such an integral movie because like what Galaxy Quest does with its narrative beats and with its script strength, and this movie does have huge script strength. Like even the people in our chat are telling you, like things are said at the start of the film or in the middle of the film, they turn out in the third act, and you have so many things which come into fruition. and you see those little plot points blossom. You don't have that with a lot of movies. A lot of movies don't have the talent that this movie did in terms of just the writing of it. And therefore, it was weird just to see this. And once I saw it, I've seen this movie over 30 times.
Yeah, each time I watched this movie, I found more things that I missed from the time before, which is hard to believe because I don't think I've watched it 30 times. I think maybe 20. But this in the last, 3 days, I've watched it twice, pausing it here and there. Like when I said, the part where the octopuses come in and they're waving those tools and they're speaking in their funny language because they forgot to put those
The voice modulators.
the voice modulators on them and make them look different. With the disguise that they're octopuses, and they got the probes and stuff. And then I realized what kind of probe they actually had in front of her face. It was just funny as hell, and I couldn't stop laughing, and I had to keep rewinding, going back and watching it again, and I couldn't believe that's what was in there. But little details like that, here, there, and everywhere in this whole movie, is the reason why you can watch it over and over again because there's always something else you're going to see in it. The acting was, I mean, it was over the top. The props, the scenes, the music, the CGI. I mean, just go on and on and on about every bit of it, and it's all great. It's all hits every single avenue that they need to hit. The story arcs. I mean, just everything. It's great, and you just don't see that very often anymore in the movies where they hit all the targets.
And that right there, when he steps out of the doorway on the ship in that auditorium,
Uh huh.
if I was a convention attendee, I'd shit my pants.
Yeah,
I
but you'll think though in the back of your mind, part of the show. You're
yeah,
not afraid like they are because they know he's real, but to everyone else, it's just a phenomenal actor in a cool costume.
and he popped.
That's what was freaking out really about it, except for those people, because no, those few people right there that helped them save the world basically knew he was real. So I just thought it was really good.
And ah,
There's
there's
so
so many good parts about this movie. Yeah,
yeah, I like
Heathen Dog.
that.
This comment from Heathen Dog right here. This is why I don't watch The Rock. I can't watch Dwayne Johnson except very few movies where he's part of a bigger group of people because he's a good physical person on stage, but he's not a good actor. He's just plays The Rock and he does rock like stuff. Go ahead, Janet. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't interrupt me. I was just saying I laughed through the whole thing. I mean, there was so much funny uh, stuff in this movie. It's sad that we don't have good groups like this making more movies because you had the people writing it, the prop people, the music people, the lighting, the special effects, the makeup, costumes. I mean, everything. I mean, I just can't find a area in this movie that didn't have phenomenal people running it. I mean, they're part of it. All of them did phenomenal, and that's why the movie is a classic. Period. Everybody in it did their job to the 100%, and that's why it's so darn good. Where, or so many people would laugh because I'm telling you, you and I were both laughing when we were talking about some of these scenes because you can't help but laugh because it's funny.
Yeah, it's one of those few comedies. It doesn't make fun of you if you're in this demographic of geeks or nerddom. It elevates you. It's one of the first times
where the nerd is the hero.
Exactly.
For real. Yeah. So I love it. I just think it's so great. And I'm so glad that somebody sat actually read the script and said, "Hey, we can do this and we can make this the best movie ever." And they did. They could see the vision when they read it, and the right person picked that script up and read it and said, "We got to make this into reality." And man, that writer is a lucky person. Whoever wrote it, I don't know who wrote this, but it was good.
And I don't know if we'll have another film quite like this in the future. I hope they never remake it.
Oh
They
no,
they
they could.
I don't want them to remake it. God, I would fucking fly off the handle.
I
Like
just
I
they
no.
could. I mean, it wouldn't be the same movie. It would not be the same movie, even no matter who made it, because these characters, um, I just don't see anybody else playing these characters. At least, the major characters.
I just watched Ghostbusters Afterlife about a week and a half ago. And as much as the movie tried to honor the first couple Ghostbusters films, um, I do better by just not acknowledging the last two movies that came out with Ghostbusters on it because I didn't like the last two movies. And I I hated it. I hated Ghostbusters Afterlife because while it does have the cameos of the original Ghostbusters, it just felt like you were watching a movie that somebody said, I don't want to do a paint by numbers film. I want to honor the original, but I want to showcase new actors. And the new actors look so young, but they're saying things like, I'm a scientist. I'm like, no, you're barely through your menses and you're 14. Stop that. And it's just frustrating because you want to see a good movie, and Afterlife had some parts that was kind of cool, but I don't like the kids. I sound like such an old fogey here. Get off my lawn. I
Get off the porch.
I I fucking hated that film. Like I know where my friends were at whenever they saw the movie and they're like, "Oh my god, this is a good movie." Okay, it uses some good stuff. It has things that are interesting, like Winston going back to the firehouse in the after credit sequence.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the movie was really good. I mean, but it wasn't Top Gun, and it wasn't
No,
it wasn't Galaxy Quest. I mean, there's no
no.
comparison. But I thought it was really good. For me, for now there was some really corny, dumb things that I wouldn't have put in it. But for myself, I thought it was very entertaining. But honestly, if you look back at the last 4 years of what we've gotten, or 5 years, uh, it's not that hard to you know break the bubble by throwing a few things here and there and making it a decent movie. I mean, but if you took any of the movies in the last 4 years and you put them next to Top Gun, which is the first good movie that we have had in a while, that to me didn't really. I mean, it had a strong women in it. It had a little of everything, and it didn't. It wasn't woke to where we thought it sucked. But if you took any of the other movies and you put them side by side with Galaxy Quest, there's no comparison because they just don't make stuff like that for some reason. I don't know why or what happened to Hollywood to make them not want to make a movie that makes money or is good. I mean, I don't understand it. I don't know where they come from, these people. But apparently, there's still people capable of making decent movies, or they wouldn't have made Top Gun. You see what I mean? And I don't even like Tom Cruise.
I'm not a big Tom Cruise fan, but
Self, but I thought the movie was awesome. So it can happen, but it's just like a lightning striking, that's how rare it is right now to get a really good movie. And the sad thing is, it's probably going to be exactly like every time you get a good movie like Top Gun, it won't win squat. It won't get one nomination.
and that's sad because I've watched a couple making ofs on the internet, and I really got to give it to whoever is the director of photography for that movie. They knew how to do it right. They really looked at the old movie from '86, and they said we're going to modernize this and we're going to make it look a little bit better, but we're going to try to honor the old movie in every way and not make the new movie too outlandish. And if you don't pay too much attention to the fact that it's episode 4 from the Star Wars franchise, Top Gun Maverick is really damn good.
Well, the thing is that
even if you do, it's still a good movie.
You can tell. I at least I feel like I can tell when I watched Galaxy Quest. I felt like whoever was involved in writing and making different aspects of this movie, even the actors that played the characters, did something to familiarize themselves with other sci-fi genres. Okay.
Yes.
It just seemed more real when the characters. God, I'm trying to think of the right words. The character was able to suck you into their character and like their character and want to see the character be successful. And to me, that's important because they liked what they were doing. Just like you watch Maverick, okay, in Top Gun Maverick, you could tell that the people in this movie wanted the movie to be successful. The pilots acted like stuck-up pilots, or however you want to put it. They acted like they knew what the hell they were doing, and they didn't care whether they died. They wanted to kick ass. They wanted to do their jobs because that's what they were trained to do, whether they're a man or a woman. Just like the woman who was in the bar running the bar, she ran the bar to make money and to make the drinkers and the people in the bar happy. That's her job. And if everyone in the movie industry would just make movies to make their customers happy, how can that not be a win-win? I just don't understand that part of it. Where did the Hollywood decide, oh, screw them, we don't care if anyone likes our movies, we're just going to make them because we want to make them? Then nobody's going to go see your movies. And sooner or later, you're going to run out of people. People are starting to go watch old movies. They're going to other forms of streaming to watch other entertainment because they're getting sick and tired of this crap. And I'm hoping if people would stop using their wallet to show their fondness of these different industries, that maybe these industries will realize, well, they're going to this company instead of us because we suck. Maybe we need to work on it. And if they would do that, maybe things could get better for us as fans to get to actually go watch something for entertainment value instead of being told how to live our lives and that we're terrible people because we don't agree with everything they tell us to agree with. I don't want to see a movie for that. I want it for entertainment purposes, period. I mean, look at the porn industry. Okay, I'll use that as an example. They make billions of dollars a year by sales. They do Comic-Con type things, but they're, Porn Con or whatever you want to call it. But they make money because they make what the people want. People don't pay to watch porn if it's crap. And the better made porn that's more believable, that has more of a story and stuff, they make more money. That's just the way it is. Because they're making what the customer wants. If you make a bunch of toys, that to sell at these sex shops and stuff,
and they're shitty and they fall apart the first time you use them, then guess what? People aren't going to be buying that product anymore. They're going to go down the road and buy someone else's products because they want a product they can use for pleasure or whatever their purposes are, but they want a product that's going to last for a while and they get enjoyment out of it. If you don't get enjoyment out of it, people aren't going to spend their money on it. And it's the same thing with movies. You won't sell DVDs, you won't sell T-shirts, you won't sell any of the stuff if the movie's shit. How many
And
T-shirts have you seen people wearing from that movie that I told you was so bad about the Five Nights at Freddy looking people that were in it?
Willy's Wonderland
Oh
with
my
Nick
God!
Cage.
How many people have you seen wearing their T-shirt?
Nobody.
Okay, there you go. The movie sucked. It was terrible. I'm not going to buy any of their crap. And I didn't
But Nick
walk
Cage.
out because it was so bad. So I'm just saying, if people would make stuff that we want to watch, people would watch it and they would make money. And they'll make more, 3 times, 10 times the amount if they make something that people want to watch more than one time, which is porn. Because everybody enjoy porn. Well, I mean, even I'll get up and walk out of a bad porn. I hate to say
The
it.
homework is for us to look at porn. I don't think that's exactly what it is there, Cal, but you enjoy yourself no matter what you do, and that's all I ask.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me about it. I'm pretty certain I know how it ends. I bet you she gets the job. I bet you they get the plumbing fixed. I'm pretty certain. I know how it ends. I don't got to watch it all the way to the end.
No, we don't have to.
The internet is really, really great for porn.
Hey, did you fix it where no porn bots would come tonight?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
yeah.
gonna say.
I've kicked out a lot of them.
Well, you did. Well, good. Good job.
Yeah, I'll show you how to do that here once we finish this, and that way, whenever you start doing this for you on your channel, and you have tons and tons and tons of dudes in there, because
Whatever.
you're gonna have the thirst. I'm telling you, you better be putting some you better be putting some spring water out there for those guys when they come in, because there's some seriously thirsty fans of yours.
There's plenty of that already online.
I'm
Oh,
glad to see that they're reacting to you normally then.
yeah.
Free speech says, I've never made it to the end of a porn drama. I know some pipe gets laid, but I've never seen the plumbing get fixed.
Well, that you're supposed to make it to the end of the movie, I don't think. If people are making it to the end of the porn, then the porn's not very good.
No, it's really not.
So the whole meaning is gone. It's out the window. But I thought this movie was excellent. I give it a 9 out of 10.
You give it a 9 out of 10?
Yep.
I
can't
did
give
have
it a 10 because of the things that I told you. But besides that, that's the highest score I've ever given a movie that we've reviewed so far.
Yeah. My big complaint is the fact that like it really blazed over Tommy's training on the flight stick. It really this movie, I wanted it. I could go for another 40 minutes of Galaxy Quest, the movie, in the current form that it is. So it could be like a 2.5 or 3 hour long movie, and I would still be sitting there in the seat chomping my popcorn happily. I would tell every person I know the greatest, longest comedy in the world is Galaxy Quest. You got to go see it.
Well, you need to definitely share the links or the names or the information for the documentaries that you were talking about that were related to the movie, so that anyone that has seen this movie and they want more information or more trivia or whatever on this, they can go see that, because I'm definitely going to go watch it.
Yeah, I'm going to put some links in the chat here, and I recommend, if you like if you really do like Galaxy Quest, then you go ahead and you locate some time for this, and this is going to help. It's not another movie of Galaxy Quest. This is more of the making of, and the people around it, and you'll be like me. You'll cry because there's a point where I think Sigourney Weaver cries, and it's all about the fact that this is about as good as it gets, kids. There's not another movie that's going to be like this.
Yeah,
So
I
you
don't.
watch this.
I don't know. I haven't seen another comedy as funny as this. Not a sci-fi.
Yeah, I've got links in there for Never Give Up, Never Surrender, and there's some other stuff, the historical documents, the extras that were on the DVD. So I want you guys to check those out because this is as good as sci-fi comedy gets right now, still in 2023. Thank you, Baron G Rock,
It
for
kicks.
putting those up there.
This is a kick butt movie. It's good.
Um,
Better than this one ever.
Janet, what do you want to watch next week?
I don't know. It's your choice.
It is.
I already have my week after.
Okay, well, I'm going to recommend my favorite movie of all time, and that is Big Trouble, Little China.
Oh, right. Yeah, that is a good movie.
Since we're doing movies from the previous century, and we will probably stay in the 20th century.
Where the good movies
Aaron,
go.
we will look at Wolf Cop. We will look at Wolf Cop someday. But we're going to look at Big Trouble in Little China with Kurt Russell, directed by John Carpenter next week. It is my absolutely most favorite film of all time. My wife knows the sound of that movie starting up, so it's time for her to get a cigarette or to go on the balcony and just watch cats from outside. She watches it, she will, but this is not the movie that she would watch if she had her choice. This is a movie that if I'm wanting to just put on a movie and paint miniatures all day and night, this is on repeat. And I haven't watched it this year yet, so we're going to watch it and discuss it next Monday night at 7:30 or shortly thereafter. We will watch Wolf Cop at some point in Baron G Rock, but I must throw this out there because I love Big Trouble in Little China. That's just a movie that even to this day I watch it and I don't feel like I can catch my breath. It's so well paced. Janet, you just got a new computer.
Yep. I'm still setting it all up and putting
Okay.
on it.
We've got a couple gurus in chat, and I'm sure that if you guys keep your ears open, if you could please, Janet might have some tech questions for you. So if you could help her with that, because she's wanting to do filters for her Snapchat. Baron just says, Janet, I sent you that link also. Thank you. Thank you,
Awesome.
Baron.
Thank you.
That way we can have animated Janet whenever we do these. And I would love that.
Yeah, I gotta be my character. Just like Doomcock and all the other famous people. One day I might be famous. Never know.
Yeah, I should be receiving a Doomcock mug here pretty soon.
I love Doomcock.
He's hilarious. Him and Harvey.
Yeah, Harvey.
Harvey Cthulhu.
He's so dangerous.
Yes.
Trust him. Never turn your back on him.
No. Well, that wraps it up for tonight. Janet, do you have anything else to cap this off before we exit to the green room?
No, just the fact that I'm so thankful that whoever brought the director, the producers together with the writer of this movie, I'm very thankful for that because if the right person hadn't read this script, it never would have been made. And it turned out to be gold, solid gold. And I'm
Yeah.
thankful for that because I know a lot of writers that have really good stuff, and they one day when the right person sees it, it's going to become gold too. And I'm just thankful for that because this is a phenomenal movie, and I recommend everybody, whether you're a sci-fi fanatic or just a comedy fanatic, uh, go see this movie or rent it and watch it at home and enjoy it over and over again because it's great. That's what I great movie. I loved it.
One small Easter egg for you guys, if you think you've seen it all, at the very end of the movie, in the credits, right at the very end, you can hear Malthazar scream, "Never give up, never surrender," and it's kind of cool. It's kind of like the last huzzah of a dying era, which kind of sucks. But yeah, I don't know if anybody would want to do comedy nowadays, but we must, we must absolutely. Uh, if you see a movie like this come out and it's good, do yourself a favor. If you want to keep seeing movies like that, you have to take your friends and family to go see them. You have to fill the seats in the auditoriums, okay? You don't have to do it like 30, 40 times and go completely batshit broke, but if you want to see these movies keep coming out, you have to reward them. And so do that. And that's the story behind Top Gun right now. There's been some okay movies came out since the pandemic, but I'm going to tell you that Top Gun is the movie that everybody's been waiting for. Everybody was waiting for Maverick to hit the theaters, and Tom Cruise personally thanked the fans. He said that this has been something that he's wanted to do for years. He got sued by Universal because they didn't release it in 2020, and he still put it out. And he's like, we're gonna do the best movie we can. He got Val Kilmer back involved with it, so he could have a spot because he is part of the script. I mean, his daughter has taken his role basically. So you have this really great movie in theaters right now. If you guys want to see more movies like Top Gun Maverick, if you've got an extra 20 in your wallet, I know a lot of us don't, but if you do, go and take somebody that you like with you. Show them a good time because you're not going to get good movies in big theaters unless you say, I'm willing to pay for this. That's all I have to end with. Janet?
Support your local movie theaters so that we can keep this alive because do you really want streaming to be the only way you can ever watch a movie again? Because I think I have a bad feeling if we don't start fighting for the movies that our theaters are going to go the way of the drive-in. So please support your local theaters. Do the best you can. If you have to sell some old trinkets laying around your house on eBay or Amazon or whatever to get a few bucks to go to the movies and support your movie theater, do it. It's worth it. We need them. We need to keep our entertainment alive and kicking. But thank you guys for joining us. That was wonderful. I enjoyed this movie. It was great. And I just enjoy doing this every week. And I'm thankful that Bruce wants to have me around. But it was fun.
Janet, if you could watch your videos not as Janet, but if you could watch them as somebody else and you're like, that person's talented. And then I had the opportunity to ask you, like, hey, do you want to do a movie review weekly? And you said yes. So I'm like, bonus.
Well, great.
And if I see you starting to pop up more and more on the web, on other people's channels, on other networks, you don't have to stay on YouTube, but if you start popping around and getting really popular, that's great. I don't see you not being popular. You're funny as hell. So I think it's going to be just kind of like a second or third Renaissance career for you, and you're going to grow.
Thank you. I appreciate you thinking that about me. I'm just be me, and that's all I can do. Be the best I can.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for showing up.
Yeah, we will see all of you next week, a little after 7:30 on Monday night. Until then, the balcony is closed.